The focus this evening, the suspension of the Commissioner of Bengaluru along with two other IPS officers for the Stampede. It raises just one question. Have the police and decorated IPS officers been made scapegoat? Especially when the political leadership seems immune to action. Suspension of the Commissioner of Police in an incident of this nature is rare, if not unprecedented. But who pushed for the multiple celebrations in a hurry, and who forced the police's hand into accepting the events that led to a tragedy? Where does the buck stop? Chief Minister Siddaramaia's political advisor Govindaraju, an MLC, was relieved of his position today. But what about the Chief Minister himself, Deputy Chief Minister, Home Minister, and even bureaucrats who were clearly part of the decisions? These are tough questions which have no answers as yet. Listen in first to Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka, D.K. Shivkumar.
My Honorable Chief Minister was kind enough to announce a judicial inquiry. What we have found, what we have got internally, so action has been taken on some of them. Investigation is going on. The magistrate investigation, a judicial investigation, and again the cases has been referred to the COD. What more a government can do? The government has done its best to give justice and see that we will come out with a plan of action with such type of events in the future.
So the demanding for your resignation, so what you have to say?
You want, let the demand. I will not answer to all their these political answers now. They are trying to do politics on the dead bodies. We don't want to do politics. We never did earlier also. I'll come back to you on later.
I also spoke earlier in the day to BJP State President in Karnataka, B.Y. Vijayendra, who's demanding the Chief Minister's resignation. Listen in. The government has suspended the Commissioner of Police. The kind of action against police officers is unprecedented. They've ordered a magisterial inquiry. Their question is that our action is far more than any other government in a situation of this nature. How do you respond?
Yesterday, late night, Chief Minister had an emergency press meet wherein he declared he has already suspended 5 police officers, including Police Commissioner of Bangalore. This development is basically because High Court of Karnataka yesterday passed serious strictures against a state government Chief Minister. Only then Chief Minister has acted upon this issue. But the fact is, Chief Minister is trying to, the officers have been made as a scapegoat.
Okay, as you say that, the onus is on Chief Minister Siddaramaiah. The point that is being made is that there was nobody who opposed these celebrations or said something about it or even posted a sense of warning before the events happened. It's because the events have happened that people are now questioning. At that time, in the afternoon, nobody posted. Even the BJP was all euphoric about the celebrations that was going to be there.
Who are we to stop the victory celebration? And more importantly, this is not the duty of state government to organize a victory celebration. Even on the day of on 3rd, when RCB won the finals, entire Karnataka, entire country celebrated. Even here in Bangalore, victory celebration went on till 5 a.m. in the morning. Police officers were on duty till 5 a.m. in the morning. When the agencies approached for the victory celebration, police officers clearly said, no, we can't give permission. Because all the police officers had worked till 5 a.m., till 5 o'clock in the morning. So clearly police was not prepared. But since Chief Minister insisted, why? Because state government, very badly they wanted to encash upon the RCB's victory. This has, because of this, Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister forced police officials to give permission. So who should be held responsible?
Okay.
And more importantly, at one side, Chief Minister claims, no, we did not expect such a big crowd. We expected only 30 to 40,000 fans, RCB fans. Whereas the police officer in FIR clearly stated, when they approached, they denied permission because if permission was given, lakhs and lakhs of people will come to Bangalore. When a police officer was aware of the fact that lakhs and lakhs of people will come, Why did not Chief Minister think upon this issue?
Question is of responsibility on RCB as well or KSE as well. How do you respond to that? The fact that they say, the police again says, that they announced for the events without proper permissions. Who do you hold responsible for that? Only the political leadership or others as well?
If this is true, according to me, state government and more importantly Chief Minister, he is trying to cover up the whole episode. Chief Minister himself is trying to cover up the issue. RCB reaches Vidhan Sabha at 4:30. Even though Chief Minister was aware that due to stampede 5 deaths has already taken place, why did the government decide to continue the rally?
My final question, what is the final demand of the BJP? What are you demanding categorically should be the final outcome of these statements that you're making?
Police officers should not be made as a scapegoat in the entire tragedy and in the entire issue. Chief Minister has to take up the responsibility rather than suspending the innocent officers. Chief Minister has to tender the resignation. He has to tender the...
So have senior officers been thrown under the bus like the BJP is claiming to save political skin of the top Congress leadership? Joining me this evening, Ajoy Kumar of the Congress, a former IPS officer himself, former Director General of Police, Jharkhand, Nirmal Kaur. Also with me, Dilip Doshi, former India cricketer, on why everyone must reflect in an incident like this and perhaps not just the government and the police force. Also with me this evening, former IPS officer from the BJP in Karnataka, Bhaskar Rao. First to you, Mr. Rao, not as a BJP spokesperson, but as a former police officer who served as Commissioner of Bengaluru, a highly decorated one at that. Despite the scale of the tragedy, is suspension of an ADGP rank officer justified? Did the buck stop with the Commissioner?
At the very outset, the suspension of a ADGP level officer is not accepted. It should be rejected, and it is a very wrong step. Okay. Now let me proceed to tell you that the police commissioner's position is a very trusted position of the government in power. A lot of things which happen within the four doors of the office, which may not see a lot of things, lot of plans, and lot of good things and bad things, the police commissioner is privy to. Placing a police commissioner under suspension is an admission of failure of administration and he having been sacrificed. So indirectly, it is not his failure, but the failure of the government, which is ruling. So the long and short of it is that it is not correct. Suspending police commissioner is a sign of panic and nervousness, and it is an attempt to protect the government itself by sacrificing the police commissioner.
As you say that, will the BJP demand, will you advise your party to demand that Mr. Dayanand's suspension and the other officers' suspension be revoked?
Of course, I have not spoken to my party president, but as someone who has served on this position, I will make a request to the party president and the leader of the opposition in assembly as well as in the council to prevail over the government and make a powerful plea to revoke the suspension of not only the Commissioner of Police, but also the Additional Commissioner of Police, the Jurisdictional Deputy Commissioner, the Assistant Commissioner and the Inspector also, because they are not at fault. They have given the best advice for the government. It was government did not heed, and to show some results to the Honorable High Court, which took so much notice, they have placed them under suspension. This suspension should be withdrawn unconditionally. Whether they put him back as commissioner, that is the prerogative of the government, but definitely suspension should be revoked with immediate effect for all officers.
Dr. Ajoy Kumar, we seem to have lost the line with Mr. Bhaskar Rao. Again, to you, not just as the Congress's spokesperson or a congressman, but as a former IPS officer, the suspension of Commissioner of Police, a decorated ADGP rank officer, is one rare, if not unprecedented. But more importantly, the political leadership seems to have made the officers a scapegoat.
Look, Veera, the issue is very simple. I think the government, if you look at the history of stampedes, the Bangalore episode has got a judicial commission, action taken against officers, and I'll come to that. You don't have any action on the Delhi stampede of the railways. No, not even a sub-inspector of police has been or not even a single railway official action has been taken. In Hathras in 2024, 220 odd people died in a stampede, and there were no policemen in a godman's function. Ayodhya is a different issue. So the question is, if you take action, damned if you do and damned if you don't. But the most important part, look, all my colleagues in the IPS will remember that there was a time when the SP or the IG or the commissioner would stand his ground. You don't give permission, then you don't allow them. What is this? The political leadership giving you the permission? Like, taking an example of the Prime Minister's security. The Prime Minister recently commended a colleague of mine who is the DG NDRF when he was in charge of his security to prevent him from going for a function. So my question is, if you're not given the permission, and as a police commissioner or whoever it is, then why did you let it happen? Because it's professional, and I'll tell you, it's coming a full circle, whether it's the IAS and IPS officers in the present time.
Okay.
Look, no, I'll just give a very interesting 30 seconds input. Recently in Madhya Pradesh, when IG and SSP got nearly into a fisticuff. So my question again is, it's not, we need to hold officers also accountable. Let the Judicial Commission, now let's imagine the rumor is going that the political leadership put pressure. Or the political leadership, there has to be a document and evidence on that. I am just saying that if you're a police commissioner and you say that you can't do it, then you must make sure you don't do it. But you want to stick. So I definitely support the action taken. Yeah.
So as you're saying that, and before I go to the other guest, very briefly, are you then saying that a police commissioner should go in public and say, look, I'm not going to do this?
No.
I mean,
no.
Isn't this part of the system, Ajoy, that the political leadership controls the police?
No. First question, let's disabuse you of few things. You think that the police, Director General of Police, at least when I served, or Mr. Qureshi was there, who was a DG in Bihar at that time, you think they would have not taken a stand? Ribeiro took a stand, KPS took a stand. The question again is, if you are so beholden to the political leadership, whether it's the IAS officers, whether you keep cutting corners, that it's going to come around a full circle. My only question is, the Judicial Commission should inquire and see whether there was any political pressure and then take and adequately make the report public. I think there should be a time schedule for this Judicial Commission, and the report should be made public, because you cannot just blame only the officers if there is something which has happened on the other side. But I think the action, Judicial Commission being instituted, the police, and to all the senior officers, it is bound to happen. Earlier, there were much more accountability. When we were in service, there were so many people, Judicial Commission people suspended for police firing. How many of us got suspended for police firing for a crowd control? So those are part of the deal of the job. Sorry.
You're saying being a police officer is part of the job. Often you become the scapegoats when finally the hit comes. I want to continue this conversation, but I also want to bring another dimension, because on your screens, the visuals that are playing is of the tragedy. Dilip Doshi, a former cricketer, India cricketer who's had fan craze around him as well. Dilip, you tell me, what about the rest? Often it's the government and the police that's held responsible, which is perhaps the legal responsibility part of it. But the moral responsibility lies with every one of us in terms of trying to build such a frenzy up.
Yeah, that's right. First of all, thank you for having me on the program. And my prayers for all the people who have parted, unfortunately, and prayer for the families to get strength. This is a huge tragedy. Okay, so now the postmortem has begun and people will play the blame game or find the right person to blame. I will stay out of this. As a cricketer, I just want to say, I've been a fan as well, and I've admired many people in my life, and I still do. I think as a cricketer, all you can do is now, a lot of the major players should go on their social platform and request all the fans to control themselves. We admire them, people, we are there because of the fans, and we owe a lot to them. But I think most important thing, as I said yesterday, was the families should also teach all the children and all the kids who are growing up to have their self-esteem as well. While you admire somebody, don't put yourself into a situation where you could be in serious trouble. Because I've been around the world attending various kinds of large gatherings. I've been to concerts where there are 300 and 500,000 people at the same venue. I think the controls are very important, and the maturity of people is also very important. So here I would say
And
that
cricketers
cricketers have to
themselves,
be,
given that they have such
cricketers
power,
also,
do you think that it's
yeah,
time they come down and say that we don't want to have this
yes,
kind of frenzy?
yes, absolutely. In fact, cricketers should come down. And I, as a former cricketer, would appeal to all the cricket loving fans and the parents that restrain yourselves, love the game as much as we do,
Oh,
for sure. Do everything that you want to do to enjoy the game. But don't put yourself on a diving board at the edge when you know you cannot swim. If somebody pushes you down in the waters. So I think that thing should be avoided. This is a huge thing. And I also believe the central government is probably going to put up some lines for observation of any such events taking place in future. I don't say that we should not hold such large
I
events. Recently, when in Mumbai there was a World Cup parade done after we won the championship T20 about 15 or 18 months back. It was conducted peacefully. There was no tragedy reported. So it's not that India cannot do
right.
it, but anything done at the
You're
last
saying
minute in a haste, we are taking a risk. We are taking the risk,
all
and the
right.
people who are going to be in trouble are the fans only. I don't think anybody else would get into
Absolutely.
problem.
Okay, that's an important dimension that you brought in, and I just wanted to break the conversation on the police force alone with this dimension primarily because it's an important one. Nirmal Kaur, when we look at the overall situation, where does it leave a police officer? Given that on the one hand there is crowd frenzy, on the other hand there is political demands, and then there is a police officer who's already stretched out on the field. Today we are discussing this because it's a commissioner who's been suspended. If it was an ACP or a smaller officer, nobody would even care to have a discussion. It's considered par for the course that they get suspended.
Definitely, it's very unfortunate an incident, but the police should. I mean, the police clearly said that they can't hold the victory march, nor can they hold the celebrations. Virat Kohli was in a hurry to go to London, and somehow it was a long, long awaited victory. 19 long years, Karnataka, the RCB people waited for a victory. They got it, but a stadium, which has a capacity of about 30 to 35,000. 3 to 4 lakh people gathering, and this kind of thing taking place. I mean, after all, this kind of letting off steam is bound to be there when it's such a. The victory itself, with the victory, though it came by a thin margin, but on the TV everywhere, the Karnataka were very happy, and they have a reason to be. The Karnataka pride is there, and but to somehow associate it with the state government, or to politicize, get some kind of political mileage, giving the Karnataka flag to the people. I mean, that kind of people, that kind of overlapping of these things. I mean, a team has won. And unlike Europe, recently there was a
Absolutely.
stampede in Paris in some game, I think it was football, in which 2 people died. But there you see, those are
Ma'am,
hooligan elements. Out here, these were genuine
oh,
fans.
absolutely,
The
ma'am.
children have died.
You're making a
They're
very
genuine
important
fans.
point.
Children have died.
Unfortunately, I'll have to. And I know you made a very, very important point. Unfortunately, I have to leave this conversation right here because right now with me is, thanks very much to all three of you for joining me here on the show, because with me right now is A.S. Ponnanna, Chief Minister Siddaramaia's legal advisor and MLA, Congress MLA. Mr. Ponnanna, the accusation is very strong. It is that officers have been thrown under the bus to shield the chief minister and the political leadership. Is the political leadership trying to be immune to facing any action in this case?
What happened on the 4th is a tragedy perhaps we cannot compare to anything else. We are all in a state of mourning, and the entire state of Karnataka, the chief minister, the deputy chief minister, the home minister, all of us stand in solidarity with the people whose families have lost their lives, the families, the friends, everybody. We are all in a state of shock and in a state of mourning. Be that as it may, what happened on the the tragic day should not have happened. The question that arises on an objective assessment of the situation is who is responsible for what has happened. Now, let us make a few things clear. Dehorse the emotional situation all of us are in. Number one, this entire program is a private program. The IPL per se is a franchisee-based the BCCI organized cricket tournament. The state or its agencies have nothing to do with it. All we do is provide for police protection and permissions in the venue that these matches take place at. Post the win of the Royal Challengers Bangalore on the night of the 3rd, it is the Royal Challengers Bangalore and the event managers who decided that the players will come to Bangalore on the 4th and that there will be a celebration at the Karnataka State Cricket Association. Now, what followed was unprecedented crowd. To just give you one statistics,
No.
a normal passenger, number in the metro. Just 1 minute. A normal passenger metro of about 6.5 lakh per day was that day recorded at 9 lakh plus. So we had just 2.5 lakh people just on the metro in excess.
But then, sir, why is then the police commissioner suspended? Why are police officers having to face action? The political leadership seems to be sitting pretty. Were they the ones who took the decision then?
No, the organizers had made an application on the 3rd, supposedly, to the police commissioner seeking for permission. He has not decided on this application. He has passed no orders on this application. Either if he felt that we are not equipped to deal with a situation like this, he ought to have rejected the permission outright. If he felt that we are equipped, then he got to have given them permission with certain conditions. Number one, in the morning, even before the event was held at 7 o'clock in the morning, RCB had gone on social media saying that this entire celebration is going to take place in the KCA and all of them are welcome. It's a free entry. It is a free entry. The police thereafter were left helpless because of the numbers, as I've already said. Now, if we had imposed certain conditions, which is purely the realm of the police, it is the policing. Number one. Number two, the police ought to have briefed the chief minister and the home minister with regard to what could have been the numbers, whether this program can be held, it cannot be held, and provided the necessary input for the government to take a decision or the chief minister to take a decision.
Okay.
Now, none of this has taken place. Now, show me, if at all, at any point in time, either the Honorable Home Minister, the Deputy Chief Minister, or the Chief Minister have either permitted Karnataka State Cricket Association to host this event or in any way assented to it. It is purely a matter of policing. Number one. Number two, I'm just pointing out why prima facie we have taken some action. Number two, you see the deaths have taken place due to the stampede. Even at 5:30, none of the political executive have been briefed with regard to the stampede at KSCA or with the casualties that have taken place.
Okay.
Now you have kept the entire political executive in the dark and you say the heads must roll. Then heads must roll.
You're laying out a version of events, sir, but what about the CM's office? Is there no responsibility for the political leadership over? Doesn't the police ultimately follow what the political leadership tells them to do?
See, the event which took place in the steps of the Vidhan Sauda was also a private program which we had permitted, which the DPR had permitted. Now, really to put it in perspective, without justifying anything, to put the issue in perspective, the event at the Vidhana Sauda went off peacefully without any incident. All the incidents have taken place and most of it, please, correct me if I am wrong anywhere, while entering the stadium. See, the stadium had a capacity of 35,000 people. You have sent out invites without even knowing that your free invitation will bring in how many people. You have not in any way told the police or anybody who's going to be responsible for the security as to what is the numbers that is coming in.
Okay. you're putting out a different version of events, shielding the political leadership, but questions will be asked. Thanks very much, Mr. Ponnana, for joining us here. Several questions will continue to be asked on where the buck actually stops. In fact, there are several adverse reactions to the suspension of the commissioner level officer as well. We'll keep a close watch on all of that on the Southern View. That's all we have time for this evening. Thanks for watching.